Fantastic. Thank you, everybody.
Wait, what's it called again? The podcast?
The Doom Post.
You need to change title to it.
Doom
Post, or-
Well, that is out of my hands.
Oh, let me do that. What's
TK, can you type out the full title?
What's
for
the title?
Copy and
Yeah.
paste, please. Ah, you fucking deafened. Okay.
perfect, TK?
Great. Fucking business. I hate the business types. I'm dealing with them. A lot lately. I'm more of the software type myself. So, I don't know if anyone can see this or if they're listening. We're kind of setting up at this point, and we're trying to anyways. The title's supposed to change. We're a bit late, I'm sorry, because we had some technical difficulties, as we always did. Mainly me being a OBS noob, I had to set this whole thing up from scratch with the help of lots and lots of friends over at WFP and KQM. So I'd like to thank them for that. And here they are with me right now. Look at our sweet-ass chibis right here. Alright, so joining me here today is not Azel. Give him a round of applause. He ain't here, folks. He's gone. Oh, that timing was so good. The music just went... But anyways, joining me here today, I have two very special guests with me. Please welcome Zajef and Akane. Thanks for being here, guys.
Hi, happy to be here. Hello. I'm starting up my stream right now. I'm still muted on my
worries.
stream.
We can do the whole thing again.
We can wait, yeah.
Because it's like...
Oh, that's fine. They don't need to know who you guys are. They'll forget
I
anyways.
think they do. They need to know what Azel did
They
to
need
us.
to know, yeah.
Never forget what they took from us.
Chat is saying to turn down the music a bit.
No, I like the music. yeah, I'll turn down the music for you. See, this is the real quiet part of the music. You don't believe me, but something's playing right now. And it's sitting roughly at 20%. Because, with some of these tracks, they're not they have a down, time-ish thing, and then they have a loudish time. But yeah, for those of you joining us and have no idea what this is about, this stream happens right before a patch drops. A new patch, anyways. And we kind of talk about what's been going on at this point. Full warning, I am not a number cruncher, I'm not an Excel sheet writer, and I can't do math. So, I'm here to essentially facilitate these two lovely geniuses that we have over here. One of them being still in bed, unfortunately. And Jeff right here is trying to set up their stream, so I'm just pretty much stalling for time because we're already kind of late, anyways. Essentially, I need another drink. Hold on.
It's already up.
We're not sponsored by anything, by the way, or anybody at this point in time.
Yet?
If you're interested, you can DM. You can DM WFP. Don't go to KQM because we own this joint.
Boy, Bella.
I have a question, because I think I asked this last time, but I don't know if you guys were here in particular. What's the Koba project? Well, I asked this last stream, but I was hoping to get more insight.
Yeah, Global Project is... I think they're trying to adjust KQM standard to be more representative of what people actually have. So they're just collecting a lot of data on people's artifacts and state of their account.
So essentially what you're saying is you don't really believe me, Hoyo, at their statistical word, so you're really challenging that with real data.
Not really. It's more that it's hard to tell how... It's hard to tell how well people invest into their stuff, what they actually do. If they do the right thing, if they just farm Emblem for 3 years, or if they actually farm artifacts for their
but here's a question
properly.
for you. How do you know they're doing the right thing?
Because they got the good stuff.
Now, I mean, well, okay, I can kind of see. Sorry, I was thinking about like just other people filling in like just completely random garbage data.
I mean, I'm not responsible for it. I don't know. They probably have something to.
You know what? Fair point. If you're not
Filter out
responsible for it,
spam, but-
why bother?
True. Like I don't know shit about it. I know that's like more or less what it's supposed to be, but
So we got questions. Zajef, will you do a vid on Nahida pre-release?
yeah, it's already
Wow.
it's already recorded. I don't want to put it out before the live stream because it's nice to be able to actually use like footage. And if I use actual leak footage, I'm gonna get fucking DMCA'd to like fucking Narnia. I don't want that. So I'm waiting for the live stream so I can use the footage that they use in the live stream to like support what I'm saying, basically.
Here's another
It should
question.
come out soon though.
Is leaked footage still leaked? Well, I guess it is technically still leaked, but is it usable even after the main patch has been released?
Honestly, I
Yeah,
could probably get away with it, but it's that kind of thing that like, why do it? Why give them even more of a reason to hate me? They already have enough.
Yeah, all you do is just calculate how their systems work and educate people on how to exploit their game. They can't hate you even more than that.
Isn't it also good for your algorithm? Once the live stream comes up, then you post your Nahida pre-release video.
It is. It's like, honestly, it'd probably be better for the algorithm to just post it as soon as possible, as soon as we get the first leaks, because that's usually when people are the most interested. But it's also, it's hard to be very accurate if you try to get something out too quickly. And at that point, since it's going to take me a while to figure stuff out anyways, I might as well wait until there's another wave of enthusiasm from the live stream.
So I want to talk about.
That's what I was hoping for.
Go ahead,
Beta, because beta keeps updating, right? As like stuff will change pretty much. Like we already got the last beta patch like last week, I think, about it, and it's the last patch anyway. So at the live stream, everything I think will be finalized. So I think we need to wait for live for more testing on it.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna say hi to my stream real quick. Let me just make sure that you guys' volumes are fine on my end as well. So, hello, beautiful people. Hi. Okay. I'm in call right now with the other people from the Doom Post podcast. Chat, say hi.
Hello, chat. How are you doing
Hi,
today?
chat.
Tell me how the volumes are, by the way, if someone's too quiet.
We're doing a double stream. It's technically like a double date, so we're like trying to set, his streamers up with our streamers sort of thing.
Nice. Yeah, you're trying to set me up with your chat, and I'm trying to set you up with my chat. True.
Yeah, and we're technically the matchmakers, because like we talk about nerdy stuff, because y'all like that sort of stuff. So I wanted to actually talk about this to sort of this patch. Kind of like a look back. Were there any things that when this patch dropped, not like the last one, when this patch dropped and you were able to play it for the first time, were you able to confirm any theories that you had before, or were you pretty certain on you're pretty bang on in your predictions on what everything was going to turn out like, team comps and everything like of that sort?
There wasn't that much like new stuff in 3.1. Like we had Cyno and now we have Nilou, but like compared to 3.0, it was not a lot.
It was so bad
really,
this
really
patch,
big.
yeah.
It's not. I don't know if I'd say it was bad, but there was less to predict, so less room to be wrong. That being said, I did my post-release video on Nilou. I recorded it very recently, and it's probably the video that I got the most wrong. But it's mostly the stuff that I got wrong is mostly synergy with Nahida, which yeah, really hard to tell 2 fucking patches in advance. But yeah.
I mean, you can only give it your best shot with the information you're given, right? At that point. So yeah, I mean, essentially, anything else you wanna?
Yeah, I mean, there is one thing that I think is a lot more interesting / fun / good / important than I expected. Which is, I mean, I don't know how much like you're into theorycrafting stuff and like how much you understand the like gauge stuff.
None of it, but please go ahead.
Okay. So, do you know what internal cooldown is?
Yes, people keep talking about the ICD.
Yeah. So,
But I just keep flipping
you...
it back on people and calling it the IDC because I have no idea what it means.
True. Okay, so basically, your like elemental attacks, they have an element, but they don't always apply the element, which means that they can't always trigger a reaction. Right? So, for example, when people like say that Dori fucking sucks because her ICD is weird, effectively she only applies Electro every like 3 seconds or 2 seconds or whatever with her burst, even if her burst hits every 0.4 seconds. That means she's only going to aggravate every 3-ish seconds instead of every 0.4 seconds, which obviously hurts her damage potential a lot, right? But the thing is, internal cooldown on most characters is specific to each enemy you're fighting. So, Nilou's internal cooldown is basically her ring, right? Like if she does the E spam, right, the skill spam, and then she gets her ring. It applies Hydro, or it hits, quote unquote hits, because it doesn't do any damage. It hits opponents every 0.5 seconds. But it has an internal cooldown where it will only apply Hydro every 2 seconds. What you can do is you can use your E, get your ring to hit one enemy, and then 0.5 seconds later, walk into another enemy. And then you'll have both enemies inside the ring range, but they're actually going to get, like, you're going to apply Hydro to them at a different time, which means that you can effectively end up bypassing a lot of the mechanics that prevent you from triggering too many reactions at once by walking into enemies at a different time. And you can end up getting a lot more blooms when you're against 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 targets, like in the current Abyss. And so a lot of this stuff is like just, it's fun because it's you're basically getting rewarded for running around instead of like using your normal attacks and shit, which is really funny.
That's awesome. And do you think what do you think stopping people from seeing the merit in that, or do you think people are just hopping onto it now real quick?
It's the kind of stuff that's hard to actually like. Internal cooldown, like, inherently is a bit of, it's like, it's not really niche knowledge, but people aren't going to know about it if they don't care about meta stuff, and most people don't. And then on top of that, exactly how it works and how it can, like, basically be abused against multiple targets is, like, it's even less common that people know that, which means that in practicality, people are actually going to see the benefits of it, but they're not going to understand why they're getting more blooms. They're not really going to understand why it's doing well.
So you think it's gonna go? It's definitely gonna go out there. Like, it's gonna get up there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you play Nilou in Bloom teams, and it's something that's useful in Bloom teams, whether you actively try to make it work or not.
Absolutely, fair enough. And Akane, did you have any sort of personal input you wanted towards like this patch? Like, you know, maybe some expectations you had that got fulfilled, or maybe they changed a bit, or maybe just like nothing happened and you're like, yeah, I guess that's it.
It's mostly about Cyno. It's literally like everything on pre-TC Cyno was so far correct except for the combos that I have used for my master sheet. But other than that, like, these NA strings are pretty like the same as like in beta, but some of the N0 procs actually came a little bit early compared to the footages we have seen from leaks and stuff. And that's it about Cyno.
Okay, fair enough.
What combo string do you use now?
Uh, for Thundering Fury, it's the combo you sent me. It's the N2E and
okay.
4E and 4E and 5E. And for
Yeah.
the non-TF one, I still use the combo that is on my master sheet, which is the N3 and 5E and
Yeah,
and
3
5
5
and 2.
5 2. Yeah. Okay.
But I have seen a non-TF footage that has the most optimal combo, and I still need to redo it. I'm just procrastinating right now. Like I have college stuff and so many things are piling up with me. But yeah, the Cyno, if I have seen people asking about where the Cyno guide is. It is on Works in the KQM channel. If you guys want to visit KQM, it is on the KQM guide section. Just visit there if you want to add more inputs on Cyno, and I will gladly be taking those, like really gladly.
Yeah, this is pretty much a plugging opportunity. So yeah, absolutely head over there and check it out. So now that we've kind of like, you know, sort of looked back on the past, let's look back to what's about to happen, which is, you know, patch day. So do you have well, I don't know if you're technically allowed to discuss what you've seen, but from what you've heard, or perhaps, you know, and you know, sort of what you've any sort of theories you've thought about in regards to the newer characters that are coming out, and what they could be potentially used for.
I mean, I can talk about whatever. Like, it's just I can't show footage, which is like, yeah, obviously, but I can talk about whatever. I'm excited for Nahida. I think she's gonna be like pretty good, and I've been preaching Elemental Mastery Raiden since 3.0 dropped, and EM Raiden is like gonna be one of the best Nahida teams, so I'm excited for
Oh
that.
no, it's Hyperbloom Raiden again.
Oh hell yeah, buddy!
She just keeps getting more buffs. Is she gonna be the new Shangling then?
No, because she doesn't need Bennett, so even better.
Base.
Ooh, damn.
Actually,
Honestly,
base.
I just find it so funny that the Raiden playstyle where you just don't use your burst is getting better and better.
That's actually kind of wild though, because like wasn't for the longest time wasn't she just like a nuke?
Not just a nuke. Her good teams often had a decent amount of like sustain, because at low constellation, like at C0 without her signature, Sarah's not that good for her. It's like, it works, but like realistically, if you have C6 Sarah, you probably have C2 Raiden. Getting a C6 4-star, like that's relatively new when they're like basically only on the banner of the same specific 5-star. You're likely to get multiple copies of the 5-star before you C6 the 4-star. And so most people, like, you're if you're not going for constellations on Raiden, you've got C0 Raiden and Sarah that doesn't have C6, and at that point Sarah's kind of bad, and so you're better off using other stuff. So you can use like Fischl, for example, and the Fischl teams with Raiden do have some pretty good sustained damage. A lot of people use Rational, which isn't always necessarily her best team, but is definitely like really easy to play, which makes it pretty popular. And that's also a team that has a decent amount of sustained damage. She's not like, she has the nuke in her kit, but the team where like her nuke is the team isn't that good if you're at C0. So for most people, it kind of isn't how you play her.
Oh, fair enough. I have her at C3, so I'm pretty happy. I think it's not. There's no point in, well, from what I understand, there's no point in really like going past C3, right? Because like you just get diminishing returns at that point, if I'm not mistaken.
C6 is good for co-op.
Oh
Yeah?
no, come
Excellent.
on.
Yeah, what a way for people to steal your resources. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, listen. I've been talking about this for a little while. Hoyo has confirmed we're not getting endgame, which means that the closest thing to endgame we're getting is the events, and a lot of the events, the difficult events, you can do in co-op. Which means that co-op is about as valuable as a single player now. At least to me, like personally, on my account. And like at that point, like yeah, if something's good in co-op, might be worth considering. Not right in C6 because that's not worth the money, but I've been talking a lot about Dori because Dori's like genie, the lamp, right? It links with your active character, but if you have 4 active characters, it links to all 4.
Damn, you know what? I just threw out a meme out there, but by the time we had no knowledge or the Smerer thing hadn't dropped yet, and I said, listen guys, Nahida is gonna be the best character. I could tell. Like, she's gonna be the fucking best out of the new lineup. So what you're telling me is she's getting there. Or she could very well be out of the new lineup.
Yeah, like I always want to be careful talking too positively about units, especially units that aren't yet released, but also units that are already released, because reality is some people pull because characters are strong, and if you oversell a character, you might end up being the reason why someone spends on a banner that they shouldn't have spent on. But
Nah, that's on them. That's their own judgment.
meh. In any case, yeah, I think she's gonna be pretty good.
Get dunked on, nerds. You know who you are. But yeah, that's awesome, man. So what about you, Akane? Do you have any thoughts on, like, you know, what are you excited for, or maybe what are you not excited for? What are you dreading?
What am I dreading for 3.2? It's basically the lore about our conquest is about to end, right? Because we're getting to the part where it's about to, I don't know, like leak story spoiler stuff, because yeah, it's already been in WFP and some Twitter sites that I have seen, and basically just lurking everywhere about the lore. But that's what I'm most excited about. In terms of TC, nothing really much from Nahida. I'd say with the recent like adjustment for her, I'd say she is good now. And about with Leila, with the recent like update as well, that didn't do shit with Leila. By the way, it's just like she's still going to be like a niche 4-star option as well in
I
terms of
think
like
if anything,
cryo
it was a
units.
nerf.
Oh, for Leila,
Yeah, because I don't think you ever use her burst every 12 seconds.
I mean, yeah, I guess. But for me,
So
it is a adjustment.
like, you're still using it once per rotation, and at that point, you lost 50% of your damage. And sure, your like energy requirements become a little bit lower, but lower energy requirements don't make up for losing. Well, you didn't lose 50. You would have gained 50 going the other end. You lose a third of your damage. It doesn't make up for the lost damage, basically.
But yeah,
So
that's pretty much.
it ends up being like pretty bad for her overall, and she was already not that great. She's going to be very usable, but her biggest issue is that she's very, very constellation reliant. Like
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
That C4 and I think it was C6 as well. I think that C4 was like every Yoimiya and Hutame basically like, oh, maybe I could put Leila here and then just do like a melt vape Hutao or Yoimiya, but in reality it's just not really that much worth in terms of like putting Zhongli in, since the shred from Zhongli and the shield just helps quite better than Lila's kit overall.
Yeah, the biggest issue with Leila is basically just that her energy generation seems to be tied to her shield not breaking. If her shield breaks, it stops generating energy, and then you're just fucking crying because, like, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
Huge pain.
in terms of weapons for 3.2, with the current banner leaks that was just posted today, I'd say that this patch is stuck with in the weapon banner.
What are they? I haven't seen them.
Uh, can I say it?
I don't
even
know. I
can,
don't
but I think it's
think
stuck.
we can. I'm gonna say no, just because.
Alright, okay.
Just because
But if
I
you
don't
check,
have a green light, so I'm gonna just automatically assume it's a red
yeah,
light.
so
by
if you check the
principle.
leak, it's pretty much like stacked in terms of if you line up with the characters themselves. The 3.2's banner is stacked for weapon banner.
Yeah. For a weapon banner. Yeah, I think that's
For
an
the weapon
important
banner,
one.
of course. For the weapon banner.
Yeah. I should probably turn my alerts
Listen,
off,
if you say it in chat, it's gonna appear on screen, and then like, man, it would just
You're gonna get caught.
it's only gonna cause issues for this. Like, man, well, so, yeah, look, listen, if that happens, like, guys, it was a great run. Like, we tried our best. So yeah, better not, I'd say. But yeah, guys, so that's awesome. So, what about comps? Do you see any potential? Well, I suppose you can't really talk about that without getting too specific about, what's to come. But is there like sort of like an ambiguous way of saying, I think Nahida would pair well with these guys?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Just cause.
yeah, I mean, without going into like specifically how or why, Dendro is very much an element that's focused around reactions, which means that we can very much expect the Dendro Archon to apply a lot of their element. So, with that in mind, the best way to apply a lot of an element would be Catalyst user, for example, right? I mean, I'm just spitballing here, right? Obviously. But a Catalyst user with decent like elemental application can actually generate a lot of seeds, like Dendro cores, either in Bloom or Hyperbloom or even Burgeon teams, although maybe less so for Burgeon. And also just can be pretty solid in aggravate teams as well. It's just good stuff all around.
Awesome. Anything to say about that, Akane?
Nothing much. I think Zajef already mentioned everything that's supposed to be said.
So I wanted to ask you guys
Well,
this because how long did it take you all to really sort of get a nice grip on every single reaction related to Dendro?
I mean, I'd say about like 2 weeks before Dendro release, I basically had a solid understanding of Dendro.
Oh
no. Fair enough.
Yeah, because I was following the leaks pretty closely, and I made a few like pre-release videos that I think hold up pretty well. There was one video that I ended up taking down because it was really, really, really early leaks, and it ended up just being inaccurate information that I was basing my stuff on. So I took that one down. But that was like 3 patches before 3.0. It was like very, very early.
I'm actually kind of curious because, like, when Dendro was but a myth, a mention, a character that was blasted on wallpapers but never actually in the freaking game itself. Like, what did you believe Dendro to be at that time, and how has it betrayed that expectation and changed into something else entirely, or was it kind of, were you following like a trail of breadcrumbs, like slowly building your way to understanding what it was gonna be?
Yeah, at the beginning, I had no clue. I theorized a few like reactions that they could do, stuff like making enemies immune to staggers, which would be like a root instead of a freeze, where the enemies can still attack you, but you can't shatter them, so you can like play that with Keqing, for example, and spam your target attacks without the enemies getting knocked away. But most of that was basically just like I had no clue they were gonna do, and I was just being like, that's a thing that would be cool to have. I remember the first like very very early information that we got leaked was that like one of the first few things we learned was that Dendro was going to have 3-step reactions. Or like 2-step reactions, sorry, with 3 like elements contributing to it. And I was like really angry at that. Maybe angry is not the right word. Yeah. Maybe angry is not the right word. More like apprehensive.
But why?
I guess. Because I think that part of what makes the elemental system in Genshin so good is that on the surface it's just so simple. Ice plus hot make ice melt. Right? Water plus hot make water evaporate. Fucking... I can't think of other reactions. Oh! Water plus cold make ice.
Oh, and electricity plus fire makes more fire.
It makes boom.
It makes explosion, yes.
Yeah, like it's very... It's very intuitive.
Yeah.
It's like...
And then along came these mofos, right? Like...
Yeah, I saw what 3 reactions, but that isn't gonna be as intuitive. So but yeah, so it's very very simple on the surface, but it has a pretty nice amount of depth with like the inner workings of how it works. Now you don't need to actually understand to play the game. You can still feel like you have a decent understanding of the game, even if you don't know any of the like inner workings of it, which feels nice. But if you want to learn more, there's a lot more to learn that you can like learn with time, which makes for like a learning curve where you never feel overwhelmed by the amount of things there are. And I think that's like it's a really elegant way of designing combat system. And when they leaked the 3 element reactions, I was like, what the fuck? Why would you do this? Now it's gone. What the fuck? But once we actually got more information on what they are, I think they actually did it really well. As much as like, yeah, 2 steps is more complicated than 1 step, at least it does actually make sense. Like, water plus plant make more plant. And then more plant plus fire make plant die. And plant plus fire make... Or like, wood plus fire make fire more fire. So, as much as the like the 2-step stuff is... It is more steps. I do feel that they went about it in a way that isn't too unintuitive. So, as much as more steps, I'm not a huge fan. I think if they are going to do more steps, they did it pretty well.
Okay. Akane, thoughts?
Oh yeah, I have some questions about why would I guess there's already answers on these questions, but why did MiHoYo like pose the Dendro reactions like along with a region that it is focused on, like Sumeru, right? Instead of like giving the players these reactions early on compared to like I said on Sumeru itself. I think that the answer for that is like I don't know if this is the right answer, but is it to keep the game alive compared to like let's say Abyss, since like Zajef said earlier that we don't have any end games sooner or later.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely, like, some part of it was definitely just layering when you release your content helps, like, it helps people feel like there's always something to do, rather than just doing it all and then being bored. I think that's probably, like, the main reason behind it. I think that another reason behind it is probably just that they did, like, with that in mind, they decided to delay Dendro a little bit, and then having decided to delay Dendro a little bit, they decided that they could make the region a tiny little bit more complicated. But that's also gonna lead to a lot of not necessarily like issues, but more difficulty with the design. And then because you want to make sure that even if they're a bit more complicated, they're still intuitive, they're still easy to understand, and you're not just like left confused as to what's happening. And then at some point, like if you finish working on Dendro in 2.1, it's like, okay, well, we could ship Dendro in like 2.3 maybe. But why would we do that when we could just wait for the Dendro region that's the next region?
Yeah, so it also just it's the reason like they like to line up things that is related to the update itself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, heck and heck. Where's everybody?
I was waiting for our host to say something, and then
maybe
awkward
take a look
and-
at chat and maybe some questions can be answered. Any
Yeah.
questions, chat?
Now I was looking at I pinged you guys. I was like, guys, I need to like go to the bathroom real quick. Can you like cover for me? I guess you didn't see the ping. So I just went to the John as you would. I went back out. I put on my. I was like, I don't see those avatars jumping. Something's wrong here. Nobody's talking. And then I put my headphones back on. I'm like, oh, nobody really is talking. That's not good. And I just go, I'm like, yeah. What do you want? I don't pay you to not talk. Keep talking. But yes, chat, if you have any questions at any point in time, please chime in, because I sure as hell don't, because I have no idea what to ask. You can't ask about something you don't understand. That's the way I see it. But I actually, well, if I had to ask one, well, actually, well, oh, it's not more of a question, it's more of commenting, which is cool too, but I actually do have one more thing. Do you think they could pull another one from under the rug? Do you think they could add another element into this system?
Yeah. Like, could they? Yeah. Do I think it's a good idea? Maybe in like 4 or 5 years. Right now, no, I don't think so.
Nah, bro. They just need to pull off a Maple Story. I think they just need more classes. You know? And then it just gets to a whole complicated system where it's like the five. Yeah. There's not 4 like official adventures. There's 5 now, and then there's 5 in its own class, and you got like 5 others in another thing called Cygnus, and then like you got all these different little things. Do you think we're gonna head down that path? Because listen, they gotta spice it up a little. They gotta add more characters that look unique and are more special, and they gotta convince you to grab money from out of your wallet to pull them. So, just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
oh no.
I think honestly they've been doing a really good job at doing that without doing like power creep or like too complicated stuff. Like, I think a really good example of that is Cyno, right? Mm-hmm. Cyno is kind of just not very good, but they got me to pull for him. They got a lot of people for him anyways, because at the end of the day, there's just so many dimensions that you can take characters in to like make them feel different to other characters. There's obviously all the different reactions, but even within the same reactions, like a Shangling team isn't gonna play the same way as a Duluth team, right? Like there's very, very distinct characteristics for both of them, and pretty huge differences. Even characters that are both Pyro on-fielders, right? Duluth and Hutao don't play the same. And because of that, because there's like so many different like layers where you can like make the characters different, I think they can get away with like the current system that they have with the addition of Dendro, with one character a patch, they can probably keep the like new characters feeling fresh for another 4 or 5 years.
I mean, yeah, fair enough, and they have quite a hell of an in-house art team too. Well, more recently they did outsource to someone for I believe it was Tignari. Yeah, they outsourced to some Japanese artists, but their in-house team is amazing too. So they can keep these up just because the characters look freaking great. You know who you are, Cyno Sims. You know who you are. You purely pulled just because of the sheer amount of literature you read right before he got released. You know exactly who you are. So
I feel called out.
Got him. I knew there was one. There had to be one here. It's like some sort of universal like constant. There has to be one. Oh man. So as Nahida is a complicated character build optimization from different team, would there be a more complete guide
On AFQ,
I've
our team has been doing the Nahida AFQ. I just don't know when it will get released, but it's on works. I have checked the document on it, but I think we still need more like confirmation. As with MiHoYo's recent beta, they have been stricter about uh, how leaks get passed on to the outside. So we still need more work on it, and still need more footages coming from our leaks team about certain stuff that Nahida can do.
absolutely awesome. So, do we have any other questions? Thank you. Oh, there we go. We have a nice comment. Thank you, Zajef, for all your honest Cyno videos. I was fond of his design, but he really did not seem worth pulling on my account that already had other DPS Electros. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? If you like him enough and you have the primogens that you're not gonna like regret pulling for him because of the next character that you also want to get, and then you don't have enough, and then you gotta spend, and then that sucks. Yeah, like if you like a character enough, you shouldn't hold yourself back from pulling them just because they're not that strong, because the game isn't hard enough to justify that. But if you felt compelled to pull him and you feel like it would lead you into a situation down the line where a unit you wouldn't be able to get, then I'm glad I helped you make that decision.
Can Nahida partake in cryo teams?
I haven't seen any fridge comp with Nahida lately. Like, I have only seen Aggravate, Blooms, the Burning, Hyperbloom
Oh,
as
actually,
well.
well, yeah, she can obviously do some burning teams with Ganyu.
Yeah, like, I think it was already been sent in our Nahida theorycrafting channel as well.
But yeah, so the way that her actually, I guess I can't go into the details, but she's got a mechanic that lets her like work well as like a replacement for Xiangling or Pyro Unit, whatever, in meld teams for Ganyu. So you can play Bennett plus Nahida and then like Diona or Jolie or whatever as your last slot, which is nice because she's gonna synergize pretty well with stuff like that. And also, like, you can do fridge stuff. So fridge is like basically you're using cryo to make your Dendro last longer. You're using your fridge to make your lettuce last longer, and so you can get more blooms through your cryo. So that's what fridge teams are, where you're basically just use the cryo to help you generate more bloom seeds. And I mean, she's gonna work, but the fridge is a bit of a meme anyways, so I don't think it'll be very good. That's mostly it for the cryo stuff.
So what do people mean when they say quicken teams? Teams that do most damage with spread and aggravate? I never see people say aggravate team when discussing builds, and it confuses me.
Yeah, the main thing is that unlike Vaporize or Melt, the Quicken reactions actually let you have both your Dendro and your Electro units trigger your reactions, which means that in your Quicken teams, you're going to get spreads and you're going to get aggravates. So even if the team has most of their damage coming from aggravate stuff, a lot of people are still going to just call it Quicken. Some people will call it aggravate as well, though. It's more or less used to describe the same stuff.
You got anything to weigh in for this, Akane?
I usually just call my team based on what the reaction is. Like if it's an electro triggering the quicken aura, I call it aggravate team. When it's Dendro triggering the quicken aura, I just call it the spread team. Like there isn't that much on the name anyway.
You're telling me that you actually call teams? Do you like decide on team names based on what the teams do?
Oh yeah, basically. Like
cringe.
I don't want to name my teams anymore. I used to call some of my team comps specific names, but I just dumped it all out. It's
what do you think about Thundering Furry?
Oh, Jesus
no.
Christ.
Oh,
Thundering
no.
Furry.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's so good, it's shit. Because it's cringe.
It's TF. It's a TF
Like
here, so basically,
its name perfectly depicts like the image you're trying to give.
Mm-hmm. It does. Okay. Well, what about salad teams?
Is it a replacement of soup?
Yeah, I mean it's soup with Dendro instead of Pyro.
Oh my gosh.
What about curry teams?
Curry?
Yeah.
What's that team composition composed of?
It's instead of like the air that helps you mix things together, right? And like put them in the blender and get your soup going. You put that's where you put your Dendro. Put your vegetables.
I see.
Mm-hmm. You still got the heat, so it's not salad. So it's basically Burgeon teams with an Electro unit.
Oh, it's a Burgeon team. Oh no.
Yeah, they're arguably the best Burgeon teams most of the time, but they're actually pretty good.
By the way, I wanted to take this opportunity to shout out two people. First off, once again, Mold, thank you so much for making the backdrop and a lot of the overlays here. Shout out to Edgy, by the way, who did these wonderful chibis. My goodness, they look great.
Wait, I should show my chat.
Yeah, you should.
this is what I look like.
Yeah, we need a petition on which face.
Does Jeff VTuber era when?
It's true.
Yeah. We're taking a petition on which face should talk, the mask or the real face.
Let the Jeff chat decide.
It should be
Bring
the
a
mask.
poll.
It should be the mask. Like if we pull it right now, 95% of people are gonna say the mask.
So I think there's a question to you both. What are your opinions on recent 4 stars and 5 stars becoming increasingly niche?
I wouldn't say Cyno's niche.
4 stars, 5 stars.
I wouldn't say Cyno or Nahida are niche. For the 4 stars, it's definitely the case. Although, arguably, with Sumeru, it's less so niche and more so just bad.
Pretty much. I think the biggest example it's Shinobu. Like when she was released on Inazuma without Dendro, she was like I am gonna say like she's so shit. Like Then
True.
when Dendro came up, she became like the Giga Chan Electro Healer.
Fair enough.
Like I think MiHoYo is just like prepping characters for the future more so than just like already giving characters that already can do well with the current things that we have in game. Like I think that is also the case with Nilou. Like with Nahida coming, Nilou just gets more stronger. But that isn't really saying that the other Hydra units won't also get stronger just because Nahida is fit for Nilou. But every character that can that Nahida will affect will also get stronger. It's not just Nilou.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, with Inazuma 4 stars at the very least, it is kind of true that they've been getting a lot more niche with time, and like you kind of have to, because it's either you make your characters niche or you make them stronger, and making them stronger is power creep, and like as much as having the new characters just be not that good, and for most players not stuff you really want, that's like you do not want power creep in a gacha game. It is very much not good.
We're looking at
And
you,
so-
Grand Blue.
Yeah. And so if that's what it takes to like keep the power creep at bay, more niche is like I welcome it with open arms. As long as it's not designed like shit. Which I think Nilou is pretty poorly designed.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, okay then. So let's see. Leila versus Rosaria for Abysses. Can we say much about Leila?
Yeah, I think we can.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna say the answer. It's Rosaria.
All
She
right.
just gives crit rate, and that's already like everything that you need.
Yeah. What about you, Jeff? What do you? Same. Agreed.
Yeah.
Overall.
Like I can see where Leila can be useful, but I think unless you're like really a huge like Yoimiya sim, or actually,
Oh, but I am.
right, because we just got a web event that had Yoimiya. Whoever she's on banner with, unless you're a huge sim for that 5-star, and you're actually gonna maybe potentially get Leila C6, I don't really see much of a reason to play her over the other options, whether it be Rosaria if you don't need the healing, or Diona if you do.
Okay, fair enough. Do you think it's healthy for the game if we get more characters like Nilou that change how a specific elemental reaction works? Restrictions not included.
Yeah. If you don't include the fucking bullshit restriction, yeah, I think that's actually really good, because it's a way to add more reactions to the game without making the base game actually more complicated. You just got a specific character that does something different. And I mean, you're basically cheating some complexity without actually making it more intimidating to new players. Because if you just don't have Nilou, then who the fuck cares what a bountiful bloom is? So yeah, I really like the idea of characters changing ways reactions work. I just don't like the way they did it with Nilou.
That's fair enough. And you're of course you're of that opinion too, Connie?
Oh yeah, I just don't like how she's like played with specific for Bloom themes. Like I think I already talked with someone about how future characters might also be tied to a certain reaction only, just like Nilou. And I hate that idea. Just like with restrictions and shit, I would basically they focus on a certain reaction, but uh, it also flexes out other reactions as well.
I don't think that's the problem exactly with Nilou, because she can be played in other reactions. She can be played in the Hyperbloom, and she's gonna be a Hydra unit in the Hyperbloom. And honestly, that's the problem. they gave her a kit that focuses on a niche, but they didn't. They made it so that if you play a character you like that isn't Hydra or Dendro, she just stops functioning. You can play a 3-unit team like in the trial run and get her passive to work, but if you add Zhongli in there, it stops working. I actually think that her being like restricted to Bloom only for her passives to work is fine. But her passive's not working if you add a unit that isn't part of the Bloom reaction itself. I don't like. Like, I would rather play a Bloom team with an Electro unit because Nilou's passive transforms your cores into cores that cannot be Hyperbloomed, than play a Hyperbloom team with a Nilou that also works with Hyperbloom, because it adds... It's basically a new comp identity where you're still getting the same... Like, you're getting a Bloom team. She is restricted to Bloom teams, but it's because of the way that her specific passive works, she by herself enables different elemental combinations for the rest of the team to make Bloom teams good. Right? So there's a mechanic. I'm sure you already know this, Akane, but people watching might not. There's a mechanic where if the enemy is electrocharged, so it has both Electro and Hydro on them, and you apply Dendro, you're going to trigger both Bloom and Quicken, and it's going to leave them with a Dendro aura, which means that you can then trigger like a Quicken aura. But Quicken can be used if you apply Hydro to Quicken to get a second Bloom. So you can get more Bloom seeds by adding an Electro unit in. And I think it would have been really cool if you were able to do that with Nilou, add an Electro unit in there, get the possibility of using this interaction that usually can't really work for Bloom teams because you're going to Hyperbloom it afterwards, but actually make it work in the Bloom teams. And actually, it's just more new things to be able to do. It restricts her to a team, sure, but that... Or to an archetype, I guess, sure. But that archetype has more versatility, more options you can go for, and it also doesn't punish people who just like Zhongli and want to have them on their team. But yeah, I don't like the design at all. I'm still angry about it. I'm sure you can tell.
Yeah,
For more anger, watch his
literally
video.
just that.
True.
Sorry, good. Akane, you're good.
Oh yeah, everything's good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're finished. All right, no worries. So we have a question about Thundering Furry. Is it the best Burgeon team after Nahida's release? Would you still consider it? Is what you're asking? What they're asking?
That's a good question. I'm actually really excited to test it with Nahida. I don't know if it's the best Burgeon team. It really does suck being a Circle Impact team. And not only is it a Circle Impact team, but it's an Overload Circle Impact team. So you need to stay inside a circle, but you knock enemies outside the circle. So if the enemies are not like heavy enemies, like rune machines or stuff like that, you're just like, oh well, this sucks, I guess. I think there are Burgeon teams that after doing a lot more testing on Dendro are arguably, because they're more versatile, better overall. I think that the Burgeon Toma teams where you use Toma, Fischl, Dendro main characters, think so. But you can also use Kole because you don't have an like on-fielder that needs to be on-fielded all the time. I think those teams actually are, because they're a lot more versatile, I think they're stronger overall. But even if it's not in its niche, Thundering Fury is still like a functional team. It's just more of a meme when you're not in the niche.
And are you yourself in the niche, Akane? Is this something that you are or will test out?
Hold on, no, I will not.
Hey, fair enough. You know, you gotta hold
I
your
just-
ground somewhere.
I just log in, do my dailies, do my resin, do the event, log out.
Me
I
too.
have more time to do other things than genshin.
Like calculating numbers about Genshin.
No, I do not do that. I
Okay,
just do that in my free time.
gotcha. So what are the stories behind our avatars? So Akane, I'll get you to start first, then we'll go down to we'll go down to Zajef. Well, I guess I'll go last or
Oh,
something. What is the story? I'm
my
curious.
my Chibi story is just like he's just dead inside. As you can see from the eyes, he's just dead inside. And yeah, that's just basically that much. I didn't think of my Chibi's own lore. I just gave our team the design, and it's basically how much that fruition into this Chibi right here.
Yeah, I think you look dead inside.
Damn.
If that's any kind,
What the
I
fuck?
hope you truly are not dead inside though.
You never know.
You never know. Now, Jeff, I'm curious about the mask. Is that what you
Oh
really
yeah.
look like?
So, okay. I mean, yeah. That is what I look like, kinda.
You really have green hair.
No.
I know.
True. I don't know. They said I needed a chibi. I didn't want one, so they said, okay, well, what if I just put your face as a mask on the chibi? And I was like, yeah, that's gonna be funny, and it's funny.
Let us know, chat. Do you, like, on both ends, do you find this funny in a ha kind of way, or do you find this funny in a yeah kind of way? That's cool though. Well, as for me, this was actually a sort of a different design, based off of the original one, which was actually supposed to be somewhat of a VTubing model that I was supposed to have for a previous stream that unfortunately never kicked off. And this is again drawn by Edu, as all of our avatars are drawn by Edu. Well done, man. You did a fantastic job. I love it. But the original designer of this avatar, with all its accessories and everything, was actually the almighty T-Mune, who is now our server administrator in Wangsheng Funeral Parlor. So I got the admin to shine my shoes. I get to say that. That's the story behind my one. So, so moving on to the next one. Do you guys think we should get another character that modifies how an elemental reaction works, like Nilou? And if yes, which reaction do you think we should get it? Get it at, I suppose.
Oh yeah, you know what we should get?
Where we at?
We should get a pyro character that unnerfs burning.
Yeah.
No.
We get pre 3.0 burning by.
Oh no.
No.
More like burning the stocks. Sorry, I had to take a big gulp out of my
We're
water.
gonna get bountiful burn. It's gonna be Daya.
Bountiful burn, Daya. Well, do you agree with that, Akane? You think we're about, we're getting a bountiful burn?
I can see it, but from what I want a crystallized a crystallized buff. Reaction is so useless. I want to make it useful at Sunday.
I get that. Usually, like, I actually kind of like that Blaze doesn't do anything. I think that, like, having Geo be the element that's just meant to be an inert element that doesn't really focus on reactions is both, like, I mean, it's actually kind of good to have one of the elements be that, but also it fits Geo because it's rock, right? Rocks don't move.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you move them, but you get the point, right? Rocks are more associated with, like, staying in place and not changing. But it definitely could be cool to have, like, one character that changes the way Crystallize works in the same way that Nilou changes Bloom. I think that definitely could be pretty cool. And you could also, like, make it like either a sand character that gets a sand reaction instead, or an earth character that gets, like, dirt reactions instead, and you can use the dirt to do some Dendro stuff or something. Like, those kind of things could definitely be pretty fun. Although I usually I don't like ideas that people have to buff Crystallize, having one character that uses Crystallize differently would be an idea that I could get behind.
Cool. So I believe there was a question before, and again for you both as well. With new reactions that are out at this moment, do you think physical or geo setups are kind of just disintegrating? I believe that was sort of the question, or becoming less relevant.
I'll let Akane go first on this one.
For geo units, I don't think geo units are being getting down in terms of meta. It's just that electro units and hydro units, and I think some pyro units just goes up because of how Dendro provided them with much more utility. But geo units didn't falter; they didn't go down. They just stayed where they are, which is still pretty solid a state. For physical users, it's hard to say, as they really rely on uh, superconduct, which forces, for example, is Xinyan, right? Xinyan is a pyro, and she's a physical damage dealer. You
What do you
basically
mean?
take.
Shinyan's not a physical damage dealer. She's a pyro damage dealer.
Oh,
She's
sorry.
Bennett. What?
Oh yeah, pyro Xinyan, but without C6 mana, she's a physical damage dealer, and basically you're just taking 2 slots for your cryo and electro units, which it's kind of limiting more flex options. But when you have C6 Bennett, like Mr. Zajef said, that you can play mono pyro Xinyan or pyro Xinyan. But at that point, there's also a possibility that you can play Burgeon Xinyan, because of how her shield at level 3 works as well. So you can just do that, as well as you can also put C6 Bennett there for the infusion on the charge attack and NAs to get more Burgeon procs, basically. But for physical users, it's not the same as Geo, where that they stay on foot, but mostly they are just super sad in terms of what they stand on the current I wouldn't say meta, but how character progress in the game right now.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people don't like Geo because it's not that good and all. I think that the design for Geo is pretty solid. They pretty clearly didn't want Geo to be an element that focused too much on reactions. And like I said earlier, I think it's kind of healthy to have that, because some people don't want to focus on reactions. So having an element that they can just go gravitate towards that doesn't need reactions to function is nice. But obviously, yeah, this patch has been dedicated, or the last 2 patches have been dedicated to getting new reactions and a bunch of new options for those reactions. We're getting additional options next patch with our next Dendro unit in Nahida, which obviously means that Geo units are kind of being left behind a little bit, but I think that they'll eventually right now they're not getting any support. I think they'll get some support later. They're not done with Geo forever. As for physical, it's it's nice to have these things, but at the end of the day, it is non-reaction stuff in a game where the combat focuses mostly on reaction stuff. And so it's obviously not going to get as much attention and support as the actual reaction stuff. But Geo teams aren't bad. They're just arguably hard to build because you need to have all the units to make them work, and because, well, they don't focus on reactions, then most of these units are Geo units that don't work that well with other teams. And so, if you want to build a Geo unit, you have to get like Geo units. Sorry, if you want to build a Geo team, you have to get a lot of Geo units. And so, a lot of people just don't, which is completely fair. But it doesn't mean that Geo is like completely useless. It does what it does, and it does it fine. It's just, if you're willing to learn the combat system a bit more and learn how to use the reactions, then you can get rewarded by getting slightly better results. Yeah.
Cool, thanks for that. So got a cue about Burgeon reaction. How functional are Burgeon comps right now? What kind of character would be necessary to make the reaction work better? Want to take this one, Akane?
A Dendro unit, of course, and a Hydro unit.
There you go.
Then you need a Pyro unit as well. Like, there you go. There goes your Burgeon team.
True.
Mic drop.
But
Unlike you, of course, for Dendro, like you obviously just going the answer of Nahida, and then for Hydro, it could just be any like. In terms of Hydro, there's a lot of what it can provide. If you want utility or if you want comfortability, you can option to pick Kokomi, of course. But if you want like a more aggressive Hydro unit that has fast application, you can either go for Xingqiu. Then for a Pyro, any Pyro units can be run on the Burgeon team. Like obviously the first Pyro units that comes to mind when Dendro was leaked was Toma, because of Toma's slow Pyro application that can wait for more cores to spawn on the ground before he can pop it all. And then next is of course is Xiangling because of her EM main stat, but with Xiangling they could be a potential burning reaction and vape reaction overall when it comes to applying Pyro because she has no ICD on her burst.
Awesome. Anything to add to that, Zajef?
yeah, I mean, the main like limiting factor for Burgeon reactions is burning, and just how much burning fucking sucks. And because Burgeon requires Dendro and Pyro, then you're gonna trigger burning every once in a while, whether you want to or not. And so that has a few implications, right? You don't want to trigger burning, but the best way to generate a lot of Dendro cores is to have a Dendro aura and apply Hydro onto it. You can basically get 2 cores for the price of 1 because your Hydro won't remove all of your Dendro. But if you do that, when you have a Dendro aura and you apply Pyro to it, that's burning. So if you go Dendro aura, you'll get more burning procs, which is going to yoink your seeds, so you kind of actually struggle from that. And the reason why it yoinks your seed is because while an enemy is burning, they have a certain amount of Pyro on them, which is exactly enough to sustain 1 vaporize reaction. And if you vape, it's gonna like put out the burning, but it won't trigger another reaction. There are some Hydro units that apply a larger amount of an element, which is elemental gauges basically, and you basically have some units that instead of applying 1 unit of an element, they apply more. So for example, Child, when he enters his melee stance, and when he taps E and it deals damage around him, that applies 2 units. Same for his burst. Mona's burst, when the Omen explodes, applies 2 units. Kokomi's burst cast applies 2 units. So you have a few of those Hydro hits that apply 2 units of Hydro, and those can actually both vaporize and trigger a seed. Which means that if you wanted to have solid burning options, you're kind of potentially more limited by your Hydro option than the rest. Because if you had a unit that applies, say, 1.5 units of Hydro, like Yelano was initially leaked to have 1.5, but they ended up changing that. But if we had a unit that has 1.5 units of Hydro, that could work pretty well in burning teams. Because you'd be able to both get them to vaporize and get them to still trigger seeds without getting fucked by burning. The other way to make it work is basically, like Akane mentioned, you end up using someone like Toma, who's slower pyro application, and you just accept that sometimes you're going to trigger burning, and whatever, that sucks, but it is what it is. And you try to use units that don't apply a lot of pyro so that it doesn't happen too often. So Toma is a good example of it. Because you can still make the seeds explode even if your stuff is on internal cooldown, because like I mentioned at the beginning with how Nilou is enemy specific, right, with her E, and you can like use some tricks to get more stuff than you're supposed to. Any elemental application, or almost any elemental application, is enemy specific as well, which means that if you're hitting a seed, because once you hit the seed with pyro, it explodes and it disappears. Every time you're hitting a seed with pyro, it's the first time you're hitting that seed with pyro, which means it's going to apply the element, even if you're CD. And so, if you have slow pyro application with internal cooldown, but fast hits, like Toma does, because he will proc a pyro wave every time you attack, well, up to once per second, but it will only apply pyro every 3-ish waves. You can actually trigger your Burgeon seeds on every wave, but only get burning procs every 3rd wave, which means that you don't get punished too hard for your pyro application, but you can still get your Burgeon stuff. Which is nice. It's one of the ways that you can make Burgeon work without a 1.5 unit Hydro unit. And then the other main one is using an Electro unit, because Electro can help you put out the burning, basically. And it also is going to let you trigger some more blooms, because of the trick mentioned earlier with Electro Charge plus Dendro. And it's also going to let you trigger some overloads, because you're attacking with Pyro, and you've got Electro. And because your Pyro unit wants to be built full EM for Burgeon anyways, then those overloads actually do matter. They actually do a pretty decent amount of damage. Yeah, so you've got 3 main ways of dealing with this. They're all okay, but they have some design space for units to make Burgeon good. They definitely do. Right now, it's kind of meh.
All right, fair enough. Well, fucking hey, great answers, everybody. Thanks for that. So, someone has a question again regarding the restriction of Nilou. Don't you think it's a good thing in the regard that enemies can proc your seeds for Burgeon and Hyperbloom to hit you instead, resulting to DPS loss, and by disabling it would make it on your favor?
Can you say that? Wait, I'm gonna read it.
Yeah, so question don't you think it's a good thing in the regard that enemies can proc your seeds for Burgeon and Hyperbloom to hit you, instead resulting to DPS loss, and by disabling it would make it on your favor?
Oh, yeah, that's not the restriction I'm speaking of. The fact that in Nilou teams you can't Hyperbloom, that is completely fine. The restriction I speak of is the one that makes her passive just stop working if you have a non-Hydro team. That is the restriction that bothers me. The other one is good. The other one, it's not actually a restriction. It's her passive. It's what it does. The issue I have with her design is that her passive and what it does just stops working if you put Zhongli on your team, which is just so frustrating.
Anything to add to that, Akane?
Nothing much. I think that's basically the restriction. Apart from the enemies triggering Hyperblooms and Burgeon, it is in the game mechanic about enemy auras, but it's not just enemy auras. It also affects with items such as the Hilichurl Bat, the Pyro Hilichurl Bat, which has Pyro on it. That if it comes contact with a Bloom Seed, it will trigger Burgeon, but it is based on the EM of the Hilichurl itself.
The EM of the Hilichurl?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hilichurls have
Enemies
elemental
have-
mastery? What?
yeah, they have their own stats basically.
Oh shit.
Even the
didn't-
grass in Teyvat, they have their own like shit.
You're telling me the grass in Teyvat has like greater crit rate than Child?
True.
Not crit.
True.
It's
Good take.
maybe
Good take.
EM.
So it's like, wow, I didn't know that. I had no idea the freaking grass had its own stats.
Yeah, any entity that can apply an element or deal damage fast so that the game knows how much damage it does when it deals damage, or how much damage the reaction does if it triggers a reaction.
Is it a constant or is it like randomized?
Generally, it's basically just no stats other than level multipliers, but I haven't looked into it all that much.
That's insane. That's like the other side of the equation you don't know of.
True. It doesn't matter. Enemies don't do any damage anyways.
Yeah,
Bro,
that's...
they got fucking like 2 million HP. I got 20k, and they die before I do. Like,
yeah.
they're a bit of a joke.
Yeah, life seems great when you know exactly what you're doing and how to do it. I suppose you guys would be the ones. So I'll ask Akane to start on this one. How does Hyperbloom come out on top despite lacking AoE and having the same EM scaling as Burgeon?
The thing about Hyperbloom is that it doesn't damage your character compared to Burgeon, where it's just it damages your own character because of how it works. That's what, but the main caveat of Hyperbloom is its super SD side compared to Burgeon, which is AoE.
I mean, the biggest reason why Hyperbloom comes out on top over Burgeon is that, like, they are the same reaction, but one of them is AoE and the other one is single. So obviously the AoE one's better, right? Well, the thing is, burning is so fucking bad, and electrocharge is so good, that because you're forced to have burning, like the stuff that can trigger burning in your Burgeon team, but you get to use electrocharge in your Hyperbloom team, just because burning is such a downside and electrocharge is such an upside, generally, like, Hyperbloom is just way on top.
Damn, he just did a sick.
It's basically,
burn on
it's
Burgeon.
basically just the surrounding reactions and the fact that the units work well with them.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. You sound so much like Zajef 77. Amazing. You sound so much like him.
True. Yeah. I've been practicing my impression.
Yeah, just this one specific that's all I can do. Like other than that, just a normal dude.
I can also do Kazuha.
Oh, can you now?
Clouds. Wait, sorry. Wait, let me listen to it real quick. Wait.
He needs the reference track.
Kazuha voiceover. Wait. Oh, wait.
Actually, why? Oh, yeah, go for it. Just listen.
Okay, so which one is it? It's this one.
By the way, for me, it's Zhongli. People always tell me to do the funny lines there.
Right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Clouds hide. The birds come. Okay, there you go.
It was actually so fucking good. Yeah. I can see it.
Yeah.
It's also the way you said "come" as well, but
Oh no, don't mention that part.
But yeah, so we got a question. Hi guys, question mainly for Akane, but anyone feel free to answer. I really want to use this very strong comp I saw on Reddit called Vape Ayato. It showed he was much stronger than Hu Tao and wanted to know why I don't hear much about this comp in guides.
First of all, it's Reddit. And second of all, comparing Ayato to Hu Tao is like two different coins.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
Hu Tao...
Well,
where-
while you're answering that, can they send the see it?
Can you send the link of the Reddit post you saw? Because like I think it isn't true. Like Hu Tao is just providing more overall damage. Like Ayato's like he's decent. He's not bad. He's not good as well. But he's like in the middle of the pack compared to Hu Tao, who has been such a strong unit with how she works with her like elemental skill, granting her more attack based on her HP, and having her own sustain with her burst if you want to cast it. Basically, have much more utility compared to Ayato. But like, he doesn't fall behind. He's still like a good DPS.
You got anything to tag on to
Thir-
that?
13 hours ago, Ayato Vape Team is totally cracked. Let me watch that.
Oh no,
Oh,
can you
you
send
gotta
the
do
link?
We're doing some research live.
Yeah, we're
here.
doing some here it is. We're doing some journalism right now.
Some journalism. Okay, what
Yeah.
a time to be alive.
Yeah. Okay. So
All right, what can you observe from this?
I'm observing the enemies being dead before swapping into Hayato, so that's possible.
Oh no, it's Kazuha Bennett Shangling. Oh no.
Why? Oh no.
Oh
Hey,
no.
am
This
I
is
also observing fucking 20k?
20k Shangling.
These are 20k non-vape slashes without VV. Okay. Pog. Yeah.
So is it the team that's totally cracked, or is it Ayato that's totally cracked?
Bro, it's the fucking wallet that's cracked.
Yeah,
It's the
Right,
wallet?
so
Wait.
strong as the wallet.
Holy.
For it
Oh, they didn't
provides-
show the cons.
So yeah, it turns out you can buy your way to better damage, as shown in this lovely example here from Reddit. So yes, you can that team comp is totally cracked when you apply your
True.
wallet to it. Anything's possible
Yeah,
if
right.
you put your wallet to it in this game.
Yeah, I mean it's can't tell what the channeling weapon is. It's the cat.
It's
but
catch. It's catch.
Bennett has Missplitter. Kazuha has Freedom Sworn. I don't know what Ayato has, but I would expect that if you're gonna have Missplitter and Freedom Sworn, you probably have Haran.
It's
as well.
Haran? Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like Haran.
Zajef forgot about the Ford Vape Ayato situation.
Yeah, like for context, with a similar setup, my Ayato's doing 12k slashes, and I think that the biggest thing to take away from this is like this is actually a pretty slow clear for an AoE team. Don't get me wrong, like Vape Ayato teams are pretty good. I would highly recommend Sucrose over Kazuha because Sucrose has actual good double vape setups. Kazuha doesn't. In Ayato teams, because your Hydro app from all field is really unreliable from Ayato's burst because it's RNG. But like the team is good, but like arguably this isn't even the best version of the team, and also I don't know. It's
Guess we'll find out.
For the level of investment, this is not clear.
Let's see. Well, I guess chat is almost fresher. Well, no, would you say child with Riptide is better?
In like with a similar setup?
Oh, it's international.
Yeah, it would be a lot better.
Oh boy. Would reworking Superconduct, but keeping the debuff, hurt any comps? Considering how you basically never build Superconduct comps, just physical comps.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing a lot of Hyper Fridge last few days, which is combining Fridge and Hyperbloom, which means you got Cryo and Electro Superconduct every once in a while. There's definitely directions they could take a Superconduct rework if they were interested in doing one. I don't think it's necessary. Right, like Superconduct not being that good is kind of meant as like a deterrent from playing teams that have Cryo and Electro units outside of physical stuff, which is neither good nor bad. It's just like, okay, well, that's something that you gotta build your teams around. They could change it, but they could also keep it as is, and I think both are fine.
Anything to add to that, Akane?
I would like to also ask chat the question. What kind of rework would you guys want to see about Superconduct? Like, as of now, I think Superconduct is not in a way it needs a rework. But like, I would like to ask chat what kind of rework would they want for the reaction itself?
You want to know what I would do?
What?
Keep everything the same except remove the 2-target limit for AoE Superconduct procs. So if you got 10 targets, you get 10 procs of Superconduct, and they all damage each enemy 10 times. Or it damages each enemy 10 times.
You know what I'd do for Superconduct in regards to Electro? I'd take Raiden Shogun and and then multiply her and call the other one Raiden A. That doesn't really do anything for Superconduct. I just want 2 of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you want to know how you can actually improve existing Superconduct teams with Raiden?
How?
Take your Cryo unit out and replace it with Bennett.
Oh no.
Is this a chicken cross the road
I'm
joke?
sorry.
I'm not kidding.
No.
The LMAs are known to be very vocal about their disagreements with guests on podcasts.
Okay, should I be disagreeing with you right now about this? Is that what you want?
If you don't want your DMs filled with very unkind messages, maybe.
My Discord is DC #0420. Like, give me your finest pieces of work in my DMs.
I can already see it getting DMs when I mentioned
I ain't
it.
a bitch.
That's why I digress from mentioning it.
I ain't a bitch. Come at me. I don't care. What? So, unrelated question, but how would you make sure Hazel is awake next round? Because this is the second time he's been sleeping for these streams. Hazel's he's sleeping beauty. I bet right after this podcast, which is somewhat coming to a close, I have to say, he's probably gonna hop into to the V's and go, "Hey guys, who's ready to stream?" And we're gonna be like, "Not you." You're. I don't know. I think we gotta threaten the guy. We gotta like dump a bucket of ice water on him. Maybe, I don't know, get his mom to ground him. I don't know what works on him.
True.
Like, tell the roommate to keep the toilet seat down. Well, I don't know what ticks him. We got to do that. What makes him tick? You tell us, chat. What should we do? Like, what drives him nuts?
What drives Azel nuts?
Yeah, what drives him absolutely insane? We need to leverage that against him so that he would wake up in time next time.
Right, bad XL. I like that comment.
Right, bad Axel. Yes, we can literally
Let's
just.
do an XL stream.
Yeah, what you should do is you should like, frickin' put, like, I don't know, like VS Code in there. No, not VS Code. That's too relevant. You should fucking put like JavaScript in there and be like, am I doing this right?
You want to know how to make Azel angry?
How?
Go to Excel. All right, make a formula that you're supposed to like copy paste and then just rewrite the formula in every cell instead of copy pasting it.
Oh.
Or you
I-
you copy and paste the formula and you don't put the equal sign. And you just ask him,
Oh,
why isn't it working?
I mean, honestly, it will bother me. So.
Hey guys, why isn't the form? There's something wrong with Excel. It's not working. It's just pasting the formula as text. Why is it doing that?
Mm-hmm.
That would be that. So he hates things. I don't know. Does he like LibreOffice Calc? Heck, do you guys use LibreOffice?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's wonderful freeware, open source software. Google Sheets for the win. Yeah, why don't you just clean up? Why don't you just do your data cleaning there while you're at it and give that to them? You're feeding the machine. Well, we're all feeding the machine.
I use Microsoft Excel.
Boom.
I use both.
You want to know something funny about Microsoft Excel? It has a really funny way or habit of taking specific numbering formats with slashes or dashes and automatically assuming that they're dates, right?
Oh, I am aware. Every time I try to type chamber 12.1 or 12.2,
yeah,
I just say 12.1 and it changes it to fucking December 1st.
Yeah,
every single time.
You're not.
It's so annoying.
You're not the only.
Google
one,
Sheets also has that problem. Like
Yeah.
you have to put like a. I think it's
It's an
it's
apostrophe.
the one. Yeah, it's an apostrophe above.
Well,
It's-
what if I told you there was an Excel sheet editor that didn't do that, and it was called LibreOffice, and it did the exact same thing, except it didn't. It doesn't do bullshit like that,
Well,
and it's open
I would
source.
ask you, is it already on my computer?
And I'd ask you, why isn't it?
Because I don't like downloading things.
I
Is there a
just have
reason
one
for that?
question.
You
No.
wouldn't download a car.
I just have one question.
Yes.
Does it have a solver on it?
Does it have a what?
A solver.
Is this a
To
D's
solve
nuts joke?
equations. No. It's,
I don't know. TC. It's a TC thing.
Okay, I just have to imagine using LibreOffice. I don't have to imagine it. My company won't provide me with the license key for Microsoft. They're just like, yeah, you're on your own. I'm like, well, fuck you guys. I'm just gonna use open source software. So
Imagine using solvers to TC instead of just eyeballing it. Kind of cringe.
Blame the subset distribution.
But anyways, with the changing dates and everything, there's a story behind it, because the people who were most affected by it were the people that needed to come up with sort of the nomenclature and the naming conventions for, I don't know what it was, I think it was like specific protein strands. And because they kept fucking changing their names into dates, they literally just kowtowed to the system and changed their naming conventions so that it wouldn't confuse it for dates. So this piece of shit software literally changed the way science works. That's all I can say.
Nice.
That's why I don't use it. But yes, I should tell Azel this and see how he responds to that. I'm like, look, the Microsoft Excel, shit. Google Sheets, shit. My one, if I type 12-1, guess what guess what happens? It doesn't turn into a date. It's still 12-1. Can yours do that? No.
I mean, if I write it on a sheet of paper, it can.
Yeah, but at this point, we're not cavemen. I'm kidding. Yeah, you'll definitely win with a piece of paper. We do have one question. Do you prefer seeing higher investment / mechanic ceiling characters like Hu Tao Child, or ones with higher floors like Kokomi, Nilou, etc. for new characters?
I think it's nice to have a mix of both.
Why not both?
If it's always one of them, it's gonna get repetitive. And more than repetitive, it's just nice to have things that can cater to different types of players.
Fair enough, for sure. Well, do you have a favorite definitive character that sort of transcends playstyle or meta or anything of that sort, or do you find that kind of changes from time to time?
I don't really. I like Bennett because I think he's very wholesome, and it's nice to have a game just make and not try to make them not a loser. Like, Bennett's a loser, and he's a wholesome, I don't know what the word is. But
A wholesome loser?
Yeah, he's a wholesome loser, and that's okay. You don't need to try to make him cool or anything. He's fine as is.
He's just one of those, not a care in the world sort of people. Free-spirited, that's it. He's a free spirit. And that's what you should look up to, rather than him getting into shit because of his free spirit. that's a Bennett thing. That's not a free spirit thing.
I mean, it's honestly, it's more it's nice to have a game have a character like that. It's not that wow, his character is so cool, damn, I look up to him. It's more Bennett is one of the few characters that don't make me feel like Genshin's characters are shit.
Of course.
Fair enough.
It doesn't feel like anything about Bennett is forced just to make the player parasocial impromptu Bennett. I guess Yunjin also has a very similar thing where Yunjin does not feel like a character that is forced into things by the writers just to sell. It feels like they actually gave her her own actual character and personality, and it's not just character really likes the Traveler for no apparent reason, and I guess that's that.
Damn, just like
maybe it would be Yunjin actually.
All right, fair
also,
enough.
I just got a raid, so I'm gonna thank that real quick. Thank you for the raid, Tenha. I hope you had a nice stream. Welcome.
Thank you for them.
But we're currently doing the Doom Post podcast with the people from Wangsheng Funeral Parlor. You can ! Actually, no, I don't have a command, but I'll shout out ! Shout out.
Poggers.
Or WFP.
FP. Yeah, you can go follow over there. All that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
What about you, Akane? What do you have a specific metric of how you value or select a favorite character, or did it come quite naturally to you without much thought?
For starters, I want a character that's super in-depth in theory crafting, basically. I like to make myself suffer in TC before I like the character itself. I think, for example, was Cyno, and his combo was a pain in the ass on pre-TC, and I just wanna cry myself out doing that, but at the end of the day, I finish it, and as of now, I really like him as a character because his playstyle relies on a specific combo that's supposed to line up with certain things, such as his A1, and if you're using TF, the TF CD procs as well. sort of liked it. I guess the 4-star that I could also see the same is with Hazel because of his is it his A1 or A4 with the you
His
get like
clench, his clench stats. Yeah,
yeah
agreed.
yeah with the
You gotta
stacking
make
of
you
how
gotta make sure that you wait until fully clenched before using your E.
pretty much
Pretty
like
important.
the stack ties up with the reaction itself, so you have to play a specific combo as well to get said stacks. And because he just punches things, that's why. He's the most intriguing catalyst. Like I have seen, like I never seen a catalyst like have a melee perspective on them, but doesn't really feel like a melee character.
For sure. I think we got time for one more question before we gotta close this out. So last one, very appropriate. How would you like 8 people co-op raid bosses in Genshin? So we're finally getting there. 8 people co-op raids. What are your thoughts?
I'm not sure 8 people is a good idea because the reaction system just you can
It's
only
gonna get
have
fucked up.
one. Yeah, you can only have like 1, maybe 2, and sometimes 3 auras active on enemies at the same time. And trying when you got like 4 characters in your party, even if they're all on field, that's manageable. You can still have a pretty clear party composition if you're gonna like actually try hard the raid and try to make good teams for it. Once it starts getting to 8, it becomes a lot more difficult to make sure that your team is staying consistent with all 8 characters, because it's just hard to have 8 characters that work well together like that. It's hard to, because of the way that the aura system works, it's really hard to just make sure that you get the right character at the right time, or like you get the right application at the right time if you got 8 different players. So I think 8 would be too much. I do think that 4-player raids could be done, or maybe like 4 players where it's kind of like Keqing and Iki, where you have 2 things you can swap between, or 8 players but they're fighting 2 different bosses or stuff like that. But as like 8 players against the same one enemy, I'm not sure it's a great idea with the Genshin system.
I like the idea of the Yakuiki one for raid bosses where you have like 4 players with 2 characters each. I think that would be like amazing. If MiHoYo does indeed like listen to some of the surveys about giving us some content that won't
Surely.
kill the game.
Surely.
Like
Surely.
Star Rail is coming on 2023 and it's like, come on. Just give Genshin the content it needs.
No, they need to make more money elsewhere. They're expanding their reach, they're expanding their empire, they're conquering new worlds. Oh well, I mean, it all comes back to Genshin eventually, I suppose. Can't complain about what they have released so far. I think it's all been pretty good. Wouldn't you guys say so?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a reluctant kinda, but yeah, I'll for now I'll say yes. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I got things, I got skeletons in the closets I wanted to, but yeah, overall I'd say it's, they're doing a pretty decent job. I'm a big fan of the music. I'll say it out now, the other aspects of it I appreciate. But yeah, I apologize. We are pretty much out of time for today. How about this? Any last words you want to say to chat out there? Akane?
Join the WFP theorycrafting section, please. Thank you so much.
True.
Very well. Zajef?
I got my Nahida pre-release video coming out in a few days, maybe 2, 3, something like that. We'll see. So you can check me out on YouTube at Zajef77 if you're interested in that, because I mean that is part of what the podcast was about, and I go into a lot more detail on Nahida in that. Other than that, you can check out the videos that I already have out on YouTube, or you can check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zajef77, and that's kind of it. I was glad to be here. It was a nice time.
guys, thank you so much. And also, you can check out our socials on the bottom left on this video. Keqing Mains, we're Wangsheng Funeral Parlor. You follow us on YouTube and on Twitter, and this is our Twitch. So if you'd like to subscribe, we'd be very grateful to that. And guys, gentlemen, thank you so much once again for coming on. Akane, Zajef, it was a pleasure having you on again. Hopefully next time, KB is gonna swoop in and save the day when and if things go wrong, buddy. But Buddy's having fun over in Japan, so shout out to him. I hope he's having the time of his life right now. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. We will have another. I went to 69 viewers. We will have another one when it's coming closer to the next patch. So the next patch. So not 3.2. So it'd be 3.3. I look forward to seeing you guys then. All right, you guys have a good one. Bye bye.